Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. Today, we are going to dive into a critical issue for businesses of all sizes, talent retention. Our guest is Mark Peters. He's the CEO of Butterball Farms, a company nationally recognized as one of the best and brightest companies to work for from 2018 to 2024. Mark is a thought leader in the space. He organized The Source, a highly effective nonprofit addressing workforce challenges, and he's the author of The Retention Trap: Stop Measuring Turnover, Start Measuring Talent Investment. Mark argues that employers need to shift their perspective from blaming external factors for talent shortages to taking a proactive, problem-solving approach to employee growth. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I am excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Mark, you have argued in the past, and I have listened to this from you, that employers often act like victims when it comes to talent problems. What do you mean by that? What's the core shift in mindset that needs to happen?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad we started there because I'm fascinated by, when we hire people, we've got all of this celebratory language about, how great everybody's going to be, and we're so happy that you're with the company. But when somebody leaves, either voluntarily or for some reason we don't think they fit on our team anymore, the language is very different. The lexicon is very different. And I actually had ChatGPT do a comparison for me one time, and I'd love to build a little comedy routine around it because it's pretty fascinating. And so I think we feel kind of helpless when people leave us, and we don't know what to do. There's just not a lot of great solutions. The statistics tell us that people leave our organizations because of they don't like the people they work for, like a bad boss or a toxic work environment, or there's no career path for them. And somehow as employers, we think it's because we don't have, we don't pay enough money, or we don't have good enough benefits, or we don't have flexible enough work time. And so we pull all the wrong levers in an effort to do retention. And for me, that's just victim behavior. I mean, you act like you have no control. The problems are all external to you. It's somebody else's fault. And as a group, we don't try to problem solve that. We don't lean into the reasons people are actually leaving in a way that enables us to, take responsibility for those items.
Mark, your book, The Retention Trap, suggests that we should stop focusing on turnover and start measuring talent investment. Can you explain this concept and why it's more effective?
Yeah, 100%. So I think that the decisions that focusing on retention lead us to some not great places. And I was talking with somebody the other day, and they said it's sort of like, playing to win or playing not to lose. And I think that's what we do. We play not to lose. We don't really play to win. And I think if we focus on the people that work for us and what their growth desires are, and we invest in those, if we really do that with the mindset of building more resilient, more successful individuals within our organizations, we end up with a stronger organization and a stronger culture. We end up building a company people don't want to leave, even if they're more talented or they're, have a better skill set. Mm-hmm. But I also, one of the things that I'm trying to communicate in the book is that, and the book is really focused at small to mid-market employers. One of the disadvantages that we have, and I am one, we have about 170 employees, so I'm right in that mid-market space. It's hard to compete with large-scaled organizations that can pull wage levers and benefit levers much more easily than some of us mid-market and small companies can do. So how do we compete with that? I think what we have is we have proximity to our people. We have the ability to understand what's going on in their lives and what they really need. But we also have, if we can think about the talent system having flow, talent isn't ours to keep forever. Talent is ours to keep for a while, and then get them ready to go do the next thing, whether it's with us or with somebody else. So I go as far in the book as to suggest building networks of employers that you could flow talent through employers. So from my company to another company, for example. And that's probably as radical as the book gets.
Mm-hmm. Mark, real quick before we go to break, I know that you've seen a lot of employers and employees. So I'm curious to get your perspective. What are the primary reasons that employees choose to stay with a company versus leave? And what's the key number one strategy that businesses can implement to address those key factors?
Yeah, I would say a sense of purpose is probably number one, and I would break that down to doing purposeful work for a company that has some sort of a stated purpose that they actually act on, and being interested in the purpose of the individual. Like, what does the individual consider important for their own growth or their own family? So I guess purpose would be it, but there's like a few lanes to that.
Absolutely. Again, I am chatting with the author of a new book, The Retention Trap: Stop Measuring Turnover, Start Measuring Talent Investment. And that's Mark Peters, he's the CEO of Butterball Farms. And we're chatting all about the mindset change that employers need to make in shifting their perspective from blaming external factors for talent shortages to, bottom line, taking a proactive problem-solving approach to employee growth. We're going to continue our conversation with Mark after a very quick break here and Get Down to Business. Don't touch that dial. Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. We're chatting and continuing our conversation with Mark Peters. Mark, as we've been talking about in terms of the retention trap, your book, we need to stop focusing on turnover. I want to continue that conversation right there. You've seen firsthand how supporting employee growth and purpose can yield significant returns. Can you provide some specific examples or metrics that illustrate this impact?
Yeah, I actually have quite a few, and I know we have sort of limited time. So let me tell a story.
Sure.
And it's in my book. It's the lady's name is Liza. She started working for us like on our plant floor and got 2 promotions within our company. We helped invest in some of her education. She went on to another employer that is in that source network that you referenced at the beginning of the show. And then they continued to invest in her education while she was working. She ended up being their VP of HR. She went on to another senior HR role in a third company that continued to invest in her development and her education. And I had a VP of HR position open up in my company. I was like, I wonder what Liza's up to. And by that time, when I caught up with her, she was CEO of a food distribution company. And I had a conversation with her. I said, I suspect you're probably not interested in this role. She says, no, I'm doing pretty well. And then I asked her if she'd be interested in being interviewed for the book. But I think that the opportunity we have when we invest in people is we have no idea what that trajectory is going to be. So she's got something. She comes from a Hispanic background. She's got something like 50 nephews and nieces. And she was the first one in her family to go through any sort of higher education. And now she serves as inspiration for this extended network of family members, not to mention the thousands of employees she's touched along, her own growth path. And her philosophy in every one of her positions has been this philosophy of reinvesting in people. Just that one story and the ripple effect through our West Michigan community it's unmeasurable, truly.
I love the story. Mark, small and medium-sized businesses often face unique talent challenges compared to larger corporations. We talked a little bit about this earlier.
Yep.
What strategies, again, would you recommend that folks employ to overcome those hurdles?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of fear around, educating people and having them leave. I mean, I hear that a lot. So I think the mind shift is the mindset shift is stop being afraid and make the investment. Because once you do, and I have many stories of people that I've done this with. I've had people leave and, go into a nursing career, get a master's degree and leave and others. But every single time I've gotten a much longer window because I know they were going to leave, and they've helped me backfill their position so I don't have the turbulence of, hiring a complete unknown on a short time frame, which it just always creates anxiety within the business. And for small to mid-market employers, a lot of times those are key positions. Like I don't have, 100 engineers. I've got one of one. And so if my engineer leaves, it's kind of a big deal. But if I know he's going to leave and I've got runway and he's willing to help me find the next person, that creates stability for my workplace.
Absolutely. Again, I've been chatting with Mark Peters. He's the author of The Retention Trap, Stop Measuring Turnover, Start Measuring Talent Investment. Mark, I want to leave our listeners with some advice on how they can find the book. How can they do that?
It's retentiontrap.com, and that will get them to my website. You can pre-order the book. It actually launches June 3rd, retentiontrap.com.
Fantastic. Mark Peters, thanks so much for joining us. You've been listening to the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You get on my website, syklein.com. And of course, search on your favorite podcast app. Just search for Get Down to Business. Subscribe, rate, review, and share. To success, let's get down to business. We'll see you next week.